Spooky season is here. Pumpkins, lattes, creepy old guys that have been showing up to your door, and only your door, consistently ever since you were a child. I'd say dressing up is a part of that too, but I feel like cosplaying kind of killed off some of that. Regardless, October means horror, and what could be scarier than being forced to try to resolve a failing marriage? If that sounds scary, congratulations, Façade is just for you. Developed and released by Michael Mateus and Andrew Stern in the year 2005, which is 20 years ago. Kinda crazy. Façade is literally just that. The goal of the game is try to reconcile your friends Trip and Grace as their marriage is collapsing in real time. It may seem kind of mid nowadays, but for 2005, this was a genuine experiment detailing the capability of AI to react to and diverge on different paths in real time based on the player's actions. When I say real time, I don't just mean choosing a dialogue option and going down a preset path. I mean, games have been doing that for years before Façade was released. Everything you do and say must be done manually, and so your dialogue, for instance, comes from whatever you type out and the tone you use to do it. But how does it work? It's not akin to generative AI or anything like we have now. Join me on this spooky day as I discuss the horrors of Trip, Grace, their marriage, and other various things in Façade. I'm going to be doing things a bit different for this game. For one, there's no spoiler section. The entire game is spoilers, really. Outside of the endings, though you could more than likely correctly guess the various endings based off of the previous section alone. I'm also going to go ahead and cover the gameplay elements. Lastly, I normally cover visuals and audio before I cover anything else, but I think the visuals and audio just tie too much into our two characters in order to cover them beforehand. Plus, on the technical side, what is there to really say? I mean, it looks like a game from 2005. So how do you play this game? Well, it's simple. It's free, just download it and install it, you're good to go. There's no graphics options or anything, so playing in a window is the best you're going to get without fiddling with it. When recording this, I had to choose between having two bars take up the sides of the screen or stretching the game to fit the window, so I went with the latter. I didn't have any technical problems with this game other than OBS preventing it from opening sometimes, but if you're not using any recording software, you should be Gucci. So how does playing the game actually work? There's only a few things you can do in-game. You can walk around, interact with objects, and type. You can also interact with Trip and Grace. Don't worry, Trip. I'll save your marriage, buddy. Pucker up, big boy. Interacting with various objects triggers various responses from the two, and sometimes this can be relevant to the whole saving their marriage thing. As for typing, you can attempt to type out whatever you want, and the AI responds to it.
Oh, jeez.
Remember that? Haha. So, we really want to thank you for years and years of
Pain.
agony.
Love. What? No, I'm fine. We're fine. Everything's fine.
The game has various trigger words that, if said, will get you kicked out instantly. Other phrases are okay to say, but only in the right moment.
Come on in. Make yourself at home.
Okay, Walter, you know what? I think you should leave. We'll be fine. Just go.
The reality is that the game, from what I can tell, isn't really processing your dialogue as if you're earnestly engaging in the conversation. It instead attempts to align your text with one of the various phrases and intentions that the AI internally checks for. So if I say, Trip, are you afraid of the fact that you're poor? The only thing the game will process from that are the words Trip and afraid. This means that, assuming you don't type anything naughty, The phrasing of what you type is less important than you hitting the key words in the moment.
Huh.
Are you saying I'm afraid of something?
Yes. I think art scares you, Trip.
Oh, you...
It's kind of neat to play around with, and there are sections where you can say anything and the AI won't respond to you because a current scenario is taking precedent over whatever else is happening. Like I said, your ultimate goal is to fix their marriage, which means saying the right things at the right times to the right person. There's various stages that occur as the night goes on, and what becomes okay to say increases the further along in stages you are. You could walk in and immediately tell the two their marriage is stupid, but that'll result in you getting the door treatment.
Pizza! I'm so happy you could make...
No, here we are. Lisa. Hi, how are you? I am so happy to see you after... Well, anyway, make yourself at home?
You know what? Lisa, that's it. You need to leave. We'll be fine. Just go.
Side note, how strong is Trip? He exudes so much aura that he can just forcibly remove you from his domicile at any moment without you being able to put up any resistance whatsoever. He must have like a crazy sleeper build. Pointing out the problems each character has becomes acceptable as the night goes on. So once the fighting really starts, that's usually your cue to start your counseling role. You can somewhat gauge what stage you're in based off the tone of the characters and the music. The music gets a little more intense the further the night goes on, and assuming you're going for the good ending, you'll play the game enough to kind of feel out where you are each run. Each run normally doesn't last more than 15 minutes, even less than that if you're going for the art of speed running, getting kicked out. There are a few endings you can get. To list them briefly, you can just leave at the start, get kicked out, fail to accomplish anything, have one of the two decide to get a divorce, or have both of them try to reconcile their marriage. Reconciliation is what the game wants you to go for, and you achieve this through a specific criteria. See, as the night goes on, either Trip or Grace will reveal secrets to each other, depending on what dialogue you say. What secrets are revealed gets randomized every run, but you ultimately want one person to admit 2 secrets and the other one to admit at least 1.
In college, I was in love with someone else.
What?
An art major named Vince.
An art major named Vince?
And I slept with him.
Doing this gives you the good ending. When I started playing this, because I haven't played it since I was a kiddo, there always seemed to be this frustration, this mystique. I honestly, before I came back to play this for this video, I genuinely had zero idea you could try to reconcile their marriage. I thought it was some hyper secretive ending, or it just didn't exist. But no, this is the criteria that the game actually checks for. I've got my issues with the good ending, but I'll touch on that more in a bit. Let's take a look at these two first. Trip is a man who seems like he wants you to know just how much of a cool guy he is. I don't mean in the sense of him being hyper-masculine Chad, but impressive in the sense that everything about him seems so in check or nice. You know, Trip is nice. His apartment is nice. His tastes are nice. His marriage is nice. Everything about him is clean. You know, you would see Trip at the office and think to yourself, that guy's got it all figured out. He may not be the most important or famous or rich person, but he has what he has all neatly tidied up and good to go. He's so clean that he's almost stale. On the surface, it seems fine. I mean, not everyone needs to be a super quirky person, But with Trip, it all seems kind of superficial. Like he's trying to convince you of these things, not to flaunt it to you, but in order to fulfill some need for validation. For one, Trip grew up poor. Now, I'm not roasting a dude who hasn't been on the grind his whole life, but Trip hates the fact that he grew up poor, and he views his family as being ignorant on top of this. We don't know too many details, but I would assume that Trip comes from some sort of rural background, and his family's sort of that rural type. To give an example of this, Grace can point out that she knew Trip used to work as a bartender in the Sticks back in college, and he tried to keep that a secret because the idea of him having to do what could be considered a poor person's job in a poor rural area was degrading to him. All of this is partially why Trip loves Grace's family so much, and perhaps part of the reason why he married her in the first place. Grace comes from money, whereas he comes from, comparatively speaking, none. Now that he's married into a rich family, he can try to pass off as fitting in with what he believes success is all about. Loads of money and loads of nice things. He also seems to think that any form of creativity is bad. Like how he hated the idea that Grace wanted to be an artist, so he gaslit, gatekeeped, and girl-bossed her into becoming an ad designer instead. Whether or not this is just a Trip thing or a value he inherited from his family, I'm not sure. I mean, growing up, I was told what constituted a real job versus a fake job. But joke's on him, no one's getting a job at any rate with the way it's all going. Again, on the surface, this is all whatever, and you might not notice, but look deeper and it really seems like Trip has no actual identity outside of him posturing as a higher class person. Like he keeps tripping over himself by failing to take the time to really figure out who he is as a person. So he has to cope by controlling how he's perceived. He always wants new and nice things for his apartment.
Ever since we got married, Trip is forever trying to get me to buy new furniture and redecorate. And it's true, I kind of enjoy it, but...
yeah, it's great. Everybody loves it when they come in and see our latest decoration scheme.
But, Mark...
But never anything that could have real soul invested into it. It feels like a genuine defense mechanism to cope with a lack of self-worth. Grace is, in many ways, the opposite to Trip. Whereas Trip wants to own nice, i.e. expensive, things, Grace takes pleasure in simplistic things that make her happy. I wouldn't say she's less sociable than Trip, but that's primarily because she isn't trying to sell herself in the same way Trip is. She sort of dislikes all of the expensive and higher end things around her and really wants something simplistic, something different but comforting. And I think this really stems from her feeling stuck and perhaps regretful.
Aha!
You're saying I'm depressed? See, Ian, I've been very lonely.
Grace is an artist, so she's obsessive over the way things look, but not the way things are priced. She doesn't care as much if something looks nice, she cares about whether it feels right. Only in her case, she seems to be in a constant state of doubting whether or not something feels right to begin with, and seemingly lacks any validation in those feelings. This is likely in part because she's unhappy with her present circumstances, but it also ties into her upbringing and her seemingly higher standards. Because Grace grew up in an environment where everything was given to her, every need catered to, her words, not mine, she's never really been tested by the world in the way others might have been. Many people resonate and build off of past experiences, and our past experiences shape who we are now. But Grace, by comparison, seemingly has a very bland past, one without struggle, which means it's also one that did not cultivate into a strong confidence in who she is. She also seems to have a strong distaste for things that, to her, seem childish or unserious. Grace, in some ways, reminds me of those teachers you had in high school, where the teacher would ask you to find the deeper meaning of a curtain mentioned on one page out of 1,000 as to why it's blue, and what sort of themes that could have in relation to the story. For example, Trip has this magic 8-ball that he likes to use, and Grace hates it and wants to get rid of it. Now, this is partly because she really dislikes that sort of thing, but also because, to be a bit of a hypocrite myself, on a deeper level, it doesn't resonate with the vibe she's going for. She's also quite snappy at times, as if Grace is refusing to show grace to herself, in the sense of being honest and open and exploring how and why she feels the way she does. In my totally unprofessional opinion, Trip and Grace's marriage is just bad, to say the least. Look, I get the idea of fixing their marriage, but these two are just genuinely not fit for each other. Even if we removed their hate for each other, removed their bad acts over the years, at the best of times, at the best versions of themselves, these two simply do not work together. Even if they didn't hate each other's interests, they still wouldn't like them. There's this idea with relationships that opposites attract, and the game shows that these two are stark opposites in many ways. The problem is that opposite attraction isn't really a healthy thing at most of the time. And what has happened is that these two are projecting ideal images onto each other. Trip, for instance, saw that Grace had money, had nice things, came from a sophisticated background, and he's projected his own personal desire of these things onto her, which has resulted in him marrying an idealized version of Grace, who is someone that simply does not exist. Opposites may seem exciting because they're so different, but what typically ties people together in the long run are core compatible beliefs and ideas. If you've got a friend who you like to hang out with once a week or something, but would hate the idea of having to live with them every day, this is what I mean. Grace and Trip have a core incompatibility. Even if their marriage is fixed, they still likely wouldn't like each other, even if they no longer hated each other. Differing traits between partners is supposed to bring out the best in the other and cover the weaknesses as well. These two have a marriage that insults the positives and forces out the negatives. It just doesn't work. And then there's you. As someone who has actually been in a situation similar to this more than once, I would recommend you don't try playing therapist on behalf of another couple. At best case scenario, whatever you say will change nothing, and at worst, one of the two will hate you or something similar as a result. Where in this scenario, I would probably just pull out my phone and start scrolling reels. Boring marriage type shift. Hey guys, what do you think of this funny meme I found?
And then he left a note. I'ma read that bitch to y'all real quick. This what he fucking wrote. Dear all trick-or-treaters, I'm coming back for that ass. If I ain't get that butt last year, then this year's getting smashed. I ain't pulling up in no granny costume, that shit hard to run in. I'm pulling up in a tracksuit and we really gonna get this fun in. What the fuck? What that mean?
That's it. You need to leave.
Anywho, this is a neat little game. It can be a bit frustrating trying to get the true ending, but I'd say it's fun to check out, experiment with the AI, see what all you can do. It's a neat way of looking at game design and AI trickery. Plus, it's free and will only take you like 15 minutes to play it. Happy Halloween.
Ask you this, yes or no? Do you really think that praising Grace, kissing Grace, telling me I'm not communicative, telling me I'm angry, saying that Grace is afraid, and what you said about saying yes to the other person, that I'm supposed to realize something about myself from all that? Is what you said tonight supposed to add up somehow to something? Okay,